yet again. My name is Craig. I'm joined again by my esteemed colleague Kyle.
Oh, I am just thrilled to be here, Craig. Thank you for having me.
But no problem. Erik.
Where's that damn fourth podcaster?
And Johan by popular demand.
Why am I always the last one?
Unpopular demand.
Okay. Next episode, we'll say you first.
Yay.
Oh, you'll love that, given what's happening. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have a topic.
Yes, let's talk about shit.
oh, that's a very good segue, Johan. What is today's game, by the way?
We're playing through the 2005 classic Shadow the Hedgehog, of course.
Thank you very much, Kyle. That is indeed the game we are playing.
Oh, thank God, I haven't been playing the wrong game for the last month.
Shadow the
I thought we were
Hedgehog.
playing
Paying for
Sonic
nothing.
Heroes. Oh.
No,
Which,
playing a better game.
by the way,
Oh.
if you want to know the Metacritic scores, they're not particularly good.
I mean, compared to the games that came before, now, I mean, it's better than Sonic 06's Metacritic scores were, which came out only a year afterwards.
So GameCube, 51, PS2, 45, Xbox 40. They're basically down the middle.
I played the worst version of the game, which is always fantastic as well.
Extremely average. Suppose we should
Yeah, so that's going to be fun.
point out that I played through the GameCube edition, and Kyle played through PS2, obviously. What did you do, Erik and Johan?
I went for the PS2 version. I found a used copy online, bought it, tested it.
Very
it
much
worked, unfortunately.
bargain bin.
Same.
Yes.
I also found a very tattered digital copy lying in the back of my hard drive. So, yeah.
I still have my copy from back in the day.
Wait.
Uh-oh.
You have this game.
I own this game. I owned it and played it when I was younger. I've actually got experience with this game.
Oh, you're the most qualified out of all of us.
I know, which is both exciting and yet depressing at the same time. Yeah, I don't remember much about the game. I remember enjoying it for what it was worth, but then I was about 15 at the time.
That was your body.
You know,
Well,
it was.
I mean,
it was,
you would have been the target audience then.
I think your mind was
Yeah.
protecting
yeah, I
itself.
was an edgy 15-year-old. Yeah, that was always the game was just made for me. I'm pretty sure.
It does say 12 plus on the cover. So
Yeah, because it uses the word "damn" and like hell a couple times.
Whoa! Don't say that here.
You're saying cunt next.
None of that fucking language.
don't fucking cuss.
Thank you,
Where's
internet.
that fucking fourth Chaos Emerald?
So,
Redub that line, please.
Read up the entire game, honestly. Just read up the entire thing.
The dialogue isn't that bad, and the actual actors try their best, so I wouldn't kind of slander them too much.
So is it?
Give them what they're working with.
Kyle's the only one that actually played this at the time, because I didn't play this at the time.
I'm the only one that's
I
played it
played
before.
good games. I played good games.
I've played Sonic games at the time around it, but not this one specifically. So
What I recall, I had both this and Sonic Heroes growing up. I recall liking Shadow more than I enjoyed Heroes.
I only had Heroes.
I didn't like Heroes growing up.
I didn't have any of the adventure games, but I did play the adventure games around the same time as well. Apart from that, no Shadow.
Yeah. I have a lot of fond memories of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on GameCube. Really most of my 3D
The
Sonic
highlight.
playing was that.
Won't hold that against you. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we've
Yeah.
all played Sonic from way back in the day during the 2D glory days, so we all know Sonic
Yeah,
as a
sure.
concept and kind of, what he was
I
about.
mean,
and
it is a pretty popular franchise. It's interesting.
we could
when you
ramble on about the 3D Sonic era and all that's done right and what it's done wrong, but this game doesn't really fit into the same sort of mold as a lot of the other Sonic games from that time. It's not like an Adventure 2 or like a Heroes that sort of plays to the same sort of tropes. It does different things equally as badly.
Yes.
spreading out the mediocrity. They're very, very progressive.
Yeah, I mean, it does something different. I think that's something that should be commended, but what they've done with it, we will cover in a lot of detail over the next hour or so.
Sounds more like a threat.
Pretty much. I mean, so you want to kind of talk about the basic sort of what Shadow is and sort
okay,
of
sure.
how the game's set up?
So
This is Hedgehog.
just a quick rundown of the
He's the ultimate life form.
yeah, the basic the intro, shall we say?
Oh.
It-
The one I skipped
You
9
will
times.
get very used to seeing that intro. Yeah.
The one I skipped 9 times.
oh, well, we need to get into the
I
replayability
absorbed
later.
all of it every single time.
From what I gathered, it is sort of a sequel, like direct sequel to Adventure 2 and Hero, since they actually make reference to what happens in those games.
Well, he's
Yeah,
presumed
ma-
dead, Shadow, isn't he, at the end
Yeah.
of Adventure 2, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
re-enters the
yeah.
atmosphere. and
But
goes
then
on.
in Heroes, which I think takes place after, he's got amnesia, which is also used in this game as
Dark
well.
Descent, yes.
So that's their sort of excuse for why Shadow
It's such a
doesn't
lazy
actually remember.
trope.
Yeah, basically.
I need to get a clean slate. Let's give him amnesia so he remembers nothing. That's always a good way of going about doing that.
So in that cutscene, Shadow's basically monologuing about, who am I? Why am I having these thoughts about this little girl being shot by this GUN shoulder in the space colony arc?
You'll get that a lot in
Greg,
this game. There'll be a lot of kind of who am I
explain-
moments.
Explain to the lovely, I was going to say viewer, listener, whoever they are.
Singular.
Yes, the the listener. What is Shadow?
The hedgehog.
I just said he's the ultimate life form.
Yeah,
Well, they sort
he
of
was-
cover that in the game, don't they? They sort of cover Shadow's kind of
Yes.
creation and what he's for,
Yeah,
which is a bit spoilery.
it
We
goes
give
in-
us spoilers for a game that came out.
Well, I was going to do that
2005.
towards the end of the
Alright.
episode.
Let's do that.
So you can save that for now. But
Ugh.
so after he's had this his deep thoughts, he gets approached by this interesting character called the Black Doom, who is in no way untrustworthy whatsoever.
He is the worst antagonist in any game I have ever played. He is the most generic, cookie cutter, bland bad guy I think I've ever seen.
He approaches Shadow and is basically like, "Hey, I want the Chaos Emeralds. Can you get them for me? You said you would do that." Shadow's like, "I didn't tell you that." But you forgot. Convenience.
Ah,
You totally said it.
genius.
So and then that's basically the rest of the rest of the game's just collecting the emeralds. It's basically very classic Sonic in that regard.
the gullible life form.
No, that's,
Did he
that's
actually,
Knuckles.
Eric? Did he actually
Anyone
have,
asks him anything, he just believes it and just does what they want for
Yeah.
nothing, basically. It could be Sonic or Black Doom or Robotnik. He just rolls with it. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's
Does-
like,
does-
I might get answers, maybe.
does the beggar actually have that voice, Eric, that you're doing? Does he have the claw voice?
But
Yeah.
you played the game, Johan.
I've already
you play it on mute?
forgotten. I've actually, we'll come into that in a bit.
Oh no.
Oh. So
Does he
Yeah,
have,
well,
does he have the
weird.
claw voice?
Basically.
he does. He really does.
I will
It is
He's
kill
actually,
you.
he's actually
distinctively-
voiced. He's voiced by the guy who does Goku in Dragon Ball.
So cool.
I could tell. Damn those voice actors. But yeah, Black Doom's a pretty generic look. He even looks generic. Like try to imagine
Yeah.
the ultimate evil creature. You draw something like that on the back of your fucking high school math book. You know, it's horrendous.
Not that I want to jump to conclusions, but it doesn't set a very high standard for when that's the bad guy in the game.
Well,
Yeah.
bad. Oh, is he bad? I mean, if you chose to go down that route, he could be your friend. So that's the whole.
Well, okay,
or
well-
Sonic the
well-
bad guy.
Hi,
Ooh.
why don't you explain what that means then? Why is there multiple
So,
options?
This game has a fairly unique structure in that it has branching stories, several branching stories, 326 branching stories with 10 unique endings.
Okay, that's not strictly
So-
true, but there is that many possible routes you can take.
Well, there's 26 stages, and you can sort of choose which order you sort of go through a path in. So really, it's not really a different path; it's just different ways of going down the same path, more or less. But
yeah, and thankfully
so
it
you-
doesn't
you can
require you to do
choose-
all of them.
yeah, you can choose to go down a good path, which tends to be you're siding with the gun troopers or with Sonic or one of his annoying friends. You've got the bad route, which tends to be Robotnik or Black Doom or something along those lines. And then neutral, where he just does what he fucking wants. Which is usually most
just
just getting the
to
Chaos
the end of the
Emeralds.
stage. Yeah.
Get Emeralds, win. It's
Kind
the
of.
best one to take, frankly.
Well, actually, I'll get onto that, but it's very.
Hmm.
I don't know, 'cause there isn't actually that much difference in terms of the ultimate objective is all get the emeralds in all of the endings, but it's more a case of who do you side with as you do it.
Well, each character wants you to do a different thing for the missions to get that emerald. So you usually have to, knock out every good guy or every bad guy, or turn on some sort of power source or something like that to do one of the neutral or the negative. Good or bad ones.
Yeah.
Neutral just tends to be just finish the level and get to the end and get to the Chaos Emerald, which is, given how painful some of these missions are, that is always the path of least resistance.
Basically,
Yes.
but even with even going from like the ultimate dark ending to the ultimate hero ending, you're still basically doing the same stuff. There isn't actually that much difference between them.
The issue being, because there's that many different endings we had to make, they all lack any sort of resonance,
like
not any sort of like impactful. I know there's a true ending that we'll get to later on, but because it's all been made to be sort of like to link in with each other, there's no kind of like directly, even good and bad aren't really that different in the grand scheme of things.
Because there is that true ending part. Is that really none of the actual 10 endings that you can get are actually that meaningful. They're not canon. Because the canon is the one at the end.
Only Erik got to the true ending. Would Erik like to explain why that is?
I got to it. I told you I finished it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't. I know Johan didn't.
That's why I was pestering you to do it.
I was not even going to attempt to do that. But I'll let you explain why some of us didn't even bother doing that.
Yeah, because in order to get the true story, which is basically just an extra mode that's just a level and a boss fight, you have to get to the end of a path, which is 5 possible stages at the end, and get both the hero and dark ending for all those, which means you have to play through the game a total of 10 times.
I got to 5, and I thought, if I see West Opus again, I'm going to kill someone. I couldn't bear to look at that starting level. I liked the first level when I first played through it, but doing it for the 5th time in quite quick succession quickly drove me to the brink of insanity, more or less.
Yeah, because that's the big problem, is that there are a lot of modern games that has like multiple paths and such that sort of streamline it in a way that once you have beaten maybe a path, you can go back to a point from that path and then try to branch off from there instead. But here you have to start from the beginning every time you try to go for an ending.
Yeah.
Which means you have to play the same first stage a total of 10 times.
It does feel a little bit, I don't know if lazy is the right word, but it's just a very easy way to make the game longer to play in order to finish it.
Like I said before, the game does try something new, and I'll commend it for that at least. You know, it's got 26 stages, and you can go any way that you want and learn that way. That's quite a novel idea if you manage to get the execution nailed down, which they really didn't.
Yeah, they really didn't.
Like, painfully didn't. I think I got to 5 playthroughs. I played all the actual missions that are available from all the different paths. But the idea of replaying them maybe 3 or 4 times each to get to the 10 endings, to only play a level at the end, which, well, from what I've heard, it isn't that great anyway. I've got better things to do with my life, frankly.
The one good thing I will say, though, is because there is that amount of variance of, what was it, 326 possible routes?
Yeah.
If you need to get to a certain end level, you can take multiple paths to do it.
The trick is to go neutral for almost everything and just do the bare minimum bad and good stuff to try and save time.
If there's any levels that you're really struggling with, like the next time you think, well, I can just go around it instead of doing it again.
Yes. Yeah, just ignore certain missions, because
I don't know if I put that as a positive, but, you know.
No, you have to bypass levels of missions because they're that bad. That can only be a bad thing as far as I'm concerned.
Because there are some missions that are just plain annoying to deal with. That's
the whole game, Erik.
We'll discuss kind of levels then, loop around to what's in those levels, because I've got some thoughts about it. I've got like a good and bad level list here that I've made for myself. I want to see kind of if anyone's written down like a list of things that they actually enjoyed in the stages, or if they're all just bad to you guys.
The only thing I put down was Digital Circuit, Mad Matrix actually having some interesting design in terms, because it's all cyber. Apart from that, everything else is very dull.
Oh, I hated those silly like those line paths trying to find the right way to get to where you have to go. That was
I didn't mind that really.
The actual like premise of the stage is interesting, and the design is interesting, but at least visually, the actual execution leaves a lot to be desired.
I hated them with every ounce of my being. I liked 3 levels that I can name. I liked Circus Park, the Robotnik level, with the casino nights. So I liked that one quite a lot.
That wasn't confidence saying, really.
But it's the only one that I would say that I actually unironically enjoyed completely.
Did you actually do the Tails mission in that?
Yeah, I got it easily.
Jesus. Okay.
You're good at games. These things come naturally to you.
I don't think Erik got it easily. By the sound of it.
Cryptic Castle I quite enjoyed as well.
That's fair. Yeah.
And
the-
Sky Troops, that weird like the Sky Temple thing. That
That's
was,
actually pretty interesting in a way.
I like that. I didn't like any of the digital levels. They can all go away. I didn't like Westopolis or Westopolis or Westopolis or Westopolis again and again and again.
I think all the city levels in general were
Central
very...
City, yeah, that's the one with the bombs you have to try and disarm or set off.
Yes, I
That
think I
was-
played that stage once, and it was like
yeah,
never
I
again.
bypassed that completely.
But
And
yeah,
Lost Impact, one with that silly train sequence, and it loops
Oh.
around and you're trying to kill those perfect chaos creatures.
ooh,
It's,
yeah.
it's a labyrinthian mess. I like the fact that the game encourages to do backtracking, which is quite rare for a Sonic game to do backtracking, but when it's executed like that, I don't think it's very good.
Well, I'd say I disagree with the... I actually like there was backtracking, but only because Sonic Team are awful at doing that. So I guess
I mean, the
Yes.
checkpoint
you do
thing,
agree with
the
it.
fact you can go back with the checkpoints really helps. You can actually just cut out huge chunks and go back to where you were. I quite
Thing
like
is,
that.
well,
That's quite a
it's-
novel idea.
The levels are still designed in that same Sonic mold. That
Well, I don't
Adventure
know.
1. I think they are.
Ca-
I
Sonic
think the
Adventure
game's
1,
got a
2,
far
Heroes.
less-
It's
got
all
far
going
less of
down
a
the
speed
path.
emphasis, I think. So
can
there's a lot less kind of like on rails stuff that you don't really do that often in Shadow. There's not really a whole lot of like speedy sections of the game, apart from the odd loop here and there.
It doesn't encourage exploration, that kind of level. Those levels.
I'll
I
give you that
guess.
one. That's fair.
Can I say I hate
So,
the
yeah.
checkpoint system in this game as well?
Why?
Really?
That's curious. I know that they're quite
And
hard
what-
to see sometimes if you're going past them. That's my one
yeah,
grievance.
Yeah, that's true. You can just miss them, especially
That's
if you're
what
using
I
that
mean, yeah.
They have
speed power
the,
up.
they have the visual poles that you had in the other Sonic game. You know, the big checkpoint thing that goes doo-doo when you go past it.
Yeah.
That was a perfect visual design for a checkpoint, and this made it this flat pad that's black so you can't see it on a dark road.
There
I
was,
don't know why they changed what was already working.
there was multiple times I died and died and died and died, and then I reset and I was all the way back.
Is that when he goes, no, not here?
Well, that's when you black out. That's when you totally go back the entire way, isn't it?
I think
Yeah,
Falling
but
Pit does the
then
same
you
thing.
lose all lives.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then it blacks out. It says, oh, no, whatever you said. But multiple times I was like, it went past 3 checkpoints and I was like, phew, flew all the way back.
Really?
Then I lost all hope in mankind.
Yeah, I know that I was doing the last mission. It was Lost Impact. I missed out one of the perfect chaos things that was near the first checkpoint. I missed that one out, and I couldn't actually backtrack to get the first checkpoint, and found that out only after 45 minutes of exploring. That I couldn't get back to that checkpoint.
It won't be a Sonic game if it didn't have sequence breaking, unfinishable levels.
I remember stages that used to take like
It's-
like a 2
it's
minutes, 3 minutes
traditional.
in the old Sonic games. Now each one takes at least kind of 15, 20 minutes to complete, and I don't like it. It outstays its welcome. Modern Sonic stages, just get them out the way.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I
yeah,
didn't-
that's more of a systemic thing with the Sonic franchise more than it
Well-
just being down to Shadow itself. But the gameplay being that slow in this game really doesn't help the situation much.
I didn't mind it as much in Sonic Heroes when they made the levels longer. But that's because it's still just you just need to get to the end.
Oh, they all look so bland in Heroes, though.
At least
But
they
in
colourful.
Shadow, they're trying to have this. We gotta. You can't just finish the level. You need to find all the bad guys. Like you have to. They say if you go past one, and you have to go through the entire level just to find this.
And then the
this
objective will
one
change
specific-
halfway through to someone else who's walked
Yeah.
past you. You have to then go into the menu and then change your objective back to what you were doing, and then it happens again later on down the level. And it's like, I
Yeah,
picked to
yeah,
do the bad
that's-
level, let me stick to the
Oh.
bad level. I don't want Sonic to go, well, let's go kill all these guys instead, and then have to change my
Yeah.
route.
I wrote.
Hey, Shadow. Long time no
Uh,
see.
I wrote down when I was talking about to having how certain levels you need to do objectives. I put
Mhm.
that basically it only takes away from the enjoyment. I couldn't think of a single one where it actually adds to the enjoyment of.
Have we
The
got like a
stage.
worst objective that we can think of?
Well, that one you mentioned in the arc, was it last? What was last-
Yeah.
Yeah, the perfect chaos. Yeah.
I would
That-
say
that
that
is the worst.
bombs in Central City might be my least favourite thing, because you're on a timer there as well, just to make matters
Yes.
worse.
But you can't learn that though. You will eventually know where they are and you can do it.
Yeah, but again, it's labyrinthian, that level, though. It just goes round in
No,
circles and up and
it's-
down.
Not as bad as the later levels.
Like, what city is just laid out like this? It's a stupid city. So yeah, I didn't enjoy that.
Anything where anything's easily missed. Because
It's
it's
a thing
because
where,
it's
like-
it's a Shadow game, not a Sonic game. But you are encouraged to go for these levels pretty quickly usually.
I wouldn't mind if the mission said, you have to destroy, 30 out of 45 enemies. Just kill most
Yes.
of them. That'd be
Or
fine.
if it
but you have
gave
to kill
you some
every
kind
single
of
one.
compass or like a
Well,
visual
some sort
cue.
of blinking thing, like in the Shadow stages. I mean, the Knuckle stages in Sonic Adventure 2. You get near one and it starts to blink at you at the bottom, saying, "Oh, enemy nearby."
Sonic Team have a habit of regressing sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Speaking
mean,
of,
not really. I mean, you have guns and you have cars, and that's not regression.
Before that, speaking of like you mentioned bad missions, any mission where you had to like destroy a vehicle as part of the objective.
Arbitrary time limits as well. The president's
Yeah.
escape pod or the
Yes.
the UFO thing on that kind of highway level.
I never imagined you could do that UFO thing.
That took some time because it just sponged for
Yeah.
far too long.
I just
There's
didn't
a-
do that path.
Even with the best guns, it was slow.
The
Speaking of
blink
guns.
airship. And
Yeah, do you want to talk about the
Blink.
guns as a
I'm
gameplay
going to throw a hot
mechanic?
take out there for you guys. I think that of all the things this game does wrong, I think it does the weapons right.
You know what? I'm actually gonna agree with you.
Uh
Of all the things this game does, the guns is actually one of the few things it does right, and it makes me so mad that
It feels
this
nice
is
to
what they got
use them.
right.
They feel pleasant to you're shooting the gun in the air and shooting the enemies. That feels quite cathartic, which is quite. I mean the melee weapons not so much, but the actual weapon, the guns, yeah, definitely.
There has been some thought put into designing, but not so much the levels, but the actual like the enemies you have to take out. It's made in a way where it encourages gun use.
Yeah, there's a
It
lot
actually
of guns to pick from
actually
as well.
adds
There's
to
a
the experience.
wide array of them, and you unlock more. You get more of the keys and the stages. We haven't even covered the keys yet, have we?
I never unlocked any of those.
I don't think
so-
they're
So,
very important point.
There's 5 hidden keys in the level, and when you get through the door that's unlocked by all 5 keys, you get something special, whether it be a fancy gun or a vehicle, which is completely hopeless, and after the level's gone, it's just gone completely.
I did notice that when you replay the game, you actually keep the keys from previous playthroughs. So that's nice.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Well, I would have hoped so, given that how hard it is to get 5 in general. If it expects you to do that every time.
I hope for a lot of things in this game, Craig, so I wouldn't really take that for much, to be honest.
Did anyone actually ever find 5 keys for any other levels? I played for West.
No.
I found it in the first stage just to see what was behind the door out of morbid curiosity. Wasn't worth it. It was like an APC vehicle and like a fancy rocket launcher, which I couldn't even carry on to the next level.
I played through Westopolis 10 times and I still was missing 1 key by the 10th time.
Some of those keys are very well hidden. One was hidden in like a trash can under like a grate that you had to like slide under.
Well, thankfully, it wasn't actually necessary to actually finish the game, but it's just
That's where you get the true ending.
True.
I was saying to Erik, actually, this game has got an expert mode. If you get an A ranking in every single stage, you unlock expert mode, where you play all 23 stages back to back sequentially.
I'm not getting A rankings all fucking levels. Are you kidding me?
I don't even know how Shadow games like calculate what the rankings are. I've had like really good ones that I thought that's great, and I get an E ranking for it. But I have ones that are crap where I get A's and B's. I don't understand where it derives its point system from.
I think like most Sonic, usually the bulk of your points is just completing the level quickly, which given
From what
that...
I've heard, with like if you pick like the bad route, apparently it's your bad score minus your good score.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
So the more good that you do, the more it nullifies your bad score, which I guess makes sense.
You have to be a real bad boy.
Should we talk a bit about that aspect of doing good and bad, and what enemies you destroy, what that does?
It's all the fucking same. Does it really matter?
I mean, I'm talking specifically about the meter you build. That on either side, either
go on
good
then,
or
tell
bad.
everyone.
The Chaos Control and the Chaos Blast.
Yeah.
Wait, there was a meter?
You know when you hit
Yes.
the triangle button, then you
Oh,
do the big like
the button that
whoa.
makes me skip half the game because it's shit. Yes, I like that button.
Yes.
That was a
Now,
good button.
Chaos Blast.
So, no, that's
the
why you
bad
kept
one.
missing. That's why you kept missing the checkpoints, Johan.
Yeah, the bad one being Chaos Blast, where you actually have to like it kills all the enemies in like a quite a wide radius from you, which is great.
I didn't
And
realize
Chaos
that.
Control actually lets you, it just kind of boosts through a large portion of the level for you for like
Yeah.
10, 15 seconds, and you get to just go through everything, which for certain missions is actually a bad thing.
I didn't realize there was a second thing. I pressed triangle, I flew through the level, and I was happy because I escaped part of the level.
So the checkpoint thing's actually on you in that case. That's interesting.
No, multiple
Okay.
times I did run past
Well,
that as well.
The game
yeah.
did include a button that lets you go quickly through a level, which
Yeah, but if you're doing like a mission where you've got to kill all enemies, and you miss an enemy by going through it in like blast speed mode, you have to then go back and then kill it, and then go back to where you were again.
it's a counterintuitive power up depending on what you want to do.
If you're just doing the neutral playthrough, it's actually a godsend. If you're not, then
There's actually a thing that I don't think they don't really advertise as much. When you're in that super state, you actually get infinite ammo, which is
which I found out after you
said
told me when I
anywhere.
finished my gameplay session, so I missed out on all of that, which was great.
So this is very vital for a specific part of the game, namely the boss battles.
Erik tips.
Yeah, Erik
Can we
tips.
talk about boss battles for a second? I've got some hot takes on that as well.
You didn't like
I mean,
them.
Is that the-
My
Is it bad?
my mild take is that they're all bad. My hot take is that there's every single 3D Sonic boss battle has been bad.
Let me up your take there.
Okay.
Competition.
90% of all boss battles in all video games are terrible. They're not fun. They're either too easy or they're too tedious.
It's spongy, I think would be the right word to use.
Yes, they rarely get the correct middle point where it's fun yet challenging, but
They can't all be
manageable.
Shadow of the Colossus, to be fair. I mean,
Yeah.
but Sonic's got quite a notorious kind of bad hit rate when it
Oh.
comes to decent,
Mm.
even like in the games that folks revere the most, Generations and Adventure 2. Most of those boss battles are pretty awful, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I was going to, at least for the 3D Sonic games.
You just mash the homing attack button until he falls down, and
That's
that's what I did
yeah.
in this game as well. To be
It's-
fair,
Specifically, the final bosses, like the actual like at the end of the game. Has there ever been a 3D Sonic game that's actually ever done that well?
it's always the same thing where you become supersonic and you're in the air and you're fighting some massive like behemoth-looking thing, and it's really tedious. Even this game does that.
Of all the ones I played, I don't think I've ever encountered one where I thought it was not even just good, it like just passable. They all felt bad.
It's funny how in the 2D games all these battles were quite creative, and how the 3D games they're so lacking in creativity. It's quite amusing.
It's not so much like the games themselves are just bad either. I mean, I've enjoyed aspects of them, prior to, but just the final, they just never stick the landing. Ever.
It might be
Yeah.
that the sheer kind of the gameplay mechanics of a Sonic game don't really gel well with the idea of there being a boss battle. But the two ideas don't really butt head. For a game that's all about going fast, having to slow down for a boss encounter seems kind of counterintuitive.
Maybe there's more ways I could have experimented with that, but yeah, it's just.
I mean,
Yeah.
with the gameplay being a lot slower
Forced
in this game, I think it
downtime.
lends itself better to a boss battle mode than say Heroes or Adventure 2 would, because it's actually
least-
more slow paced, and you get guns, so you can actually do some range attacks as well. So I think the boss battles work better than they could have been if they were doing like a regular Sonic game. But they're still not great, to be honest.
So which one was your least favorite boss in this game?
And
Why is it Sonic versus and Diabolon?
Also, that was I didn't know what to do for large portions of that.
I was going to say the boss when you beat the last story, but we're going to talk about that later anyway.
Yeah.
I will listen to you guys do, because I haven't got a clue what happens. I've seen a YouTube video of it, and I thought, yeah, that looks bad. So I'm glad that I just chose not to take that particular bullet for myself. But yeah, they're all. I can't pick a worse one. They were all tedious.
I don't even
I
remember.
liked one of them. I liked the one with the Eggman like slot
Yeah.
machine thing. That was.
Oh, you
kind of-
actually liked that one.
It was at least interesting. It was an interesting concept.
I
Something that
couldn't-
a lot of these bosses don't have.
I couldn't even lock onto his fucking thing half the time.
Oh,
I had no problems with that at all.
yeah, I'm going to say I'm with Kyle on that one.
It was
I mean,
fun,
that's-
but I couldn't lock into anything.
It
just
could have been better,
keep-
but it was at least
Fuck this guy.
something that was relatively interesting. It wasn't just like they just fight big robot and they smash its head 4 times to kill it. It actually involved a little bit of like, oh, I see what I'm doing here. Oh, that's quite interesting. A very, very Eggman thing to do. All the rest of them are crap though.
Yeah, and especially the Black Doom one, like the original time you fight him, because
That was just tedious.
he's actually very easy once you look, because here's the tip where I mentioned the thing with the infinite ammo when you're powered up.
Mm.
So there are usually weapons strewn around on the boss areas, but they're limited quantity. So if you use them up, that's it. You can't get more guns. But if you save your guns until you fill your meter, you can just blast away and just knock him out in like half his life in like 15 seconds.
I thought they respawned those weapons. Are they just gone
Well,
for good after they've been used up?
Unless they have some of Eggman's boss fights has respawning enemies, but
I think
usually
being
no.
soft lock out of beating a boss battle seems a little bit of a strange thing to do,
Well,
to be honest.
I'm assuming you can still beat it if you just attack in the
Oh,
traditional
Yeah,
sense.
but it's very tedious.
Well, I mean, no more than it already is, to be honest.
I mean, I had no idea about not using up ammo at super form. I think that seems to be
the
a
game
thing
doesn't tell you
like,
that, to be fair.
yeah.
Unless you actually knew about that or just found it by happy accident. You would have no idea that was a thing.
It's not the first Sonic game to have that issue either, so I guess it's running problem.
It's almost like the games aren't very good and haven't been for a long time.
They're
Okay, definitely
interesting.
That.
Who form?
Yeah, they're all bad. I mean, as much as the gameplay itself was quite teaser points, the boss battles just ramped it up to 11 and made it like, I don't want to play any more of this.
Yeah. A lot of repeats as well when you take different paths.
Oh yeah, just fighting the same boss on a slightly different stage. It's like, I recognize this.
I'm pretty sure I played like the slot machine Eggman fight at least 3 or 4 times over the span of like 10 playthroughs.
I think I had it twice during my 5.
How many? I think it's 3 or 4 different variations of the final. When you get to the one of the 10 endings, I think it's the same couple of bosses recycled, just in different areas.
The ending you pick at the end, it'll sort of dictate who you fight. But I think the actual fights themselves play out in the same way, no matter which path you fight that person on.
They're very similar.
There's slight variance on the battle arenas on some of them, but it's not much really.
Yeah, it's just a giant kill box, isn't it? There's not really much there's no actual platforming involved in these things. It's just kind of just home in, shoot, and then just spam the homing attack button to knock them down.
Shall I briefly touch on the controls, since that seems to be certain Sonic games live or die by them.
Oh,
I'll be honest, I actually run into far less issues with this game compared to some of the earlier 3D Sonic games. So I will give it,
because you're slower. That's why.
I think there's certain things like the homing attacks and the light dash are a bit more. You can actually do them with purpose. You don't accidentally do them as often as you.
I've homing attacked off of platforms into infinite death pits many times.
So
yeah, that's still an issue. Yes.
I didn't say it was.
So once you can manage X to do homing attack repeatedly, then you just go whoop on one direction and you go flying off into a pit, and there's no here. It's your fault this happened.
I mean, the game before this was Sonic Heroes, and I would argue that's worse in almost every aspect. With
again, I think because it's slowed down, the twitchy things are less dramatic when you are doing like a turn. It still doesn't turn very well or anything. It's like it's on ice every single turn you try and make, and if you try and go a little bit fast, that's when it starts to feel like, oh, it's a Sonic game, all right. Yep, that's definitely Sonic.
The momentum through the roof every time you try to move a little bit, like whoop.
Yeah.
Also, the game also has a melee attack, which is completely useless because you're never going to use that.
I don't understand why they
because you always
that in.
Because in Sonic games, even making contact with enemies is a hit, so you can never actually get close enough. Regardless.
Also, if they had like infinite lifespan, but they last like 4 or 5 hits, then they explode in your hands.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I can get a gun that's got 30 rounds, or a lamppost that has 6 hits in it, and then it blows up. Given the alternative.
Because along with all the weapons you can use, plus the melee attacks and of the different abilities you use when you fill up your meter, there's a lot more you can do with Shadow than you would do as in Sonic. Like just playing Sonic. Oh, I haven't even talked about the vehicle sections yet, but yeah, that's another thing.
I don't think I used a single vehicle properly in that game. Unless I was forced to do it because they were just.
Yes.
It's the same. You're actually slower in a vehicle than you are on foot.
It's slower and worse controls. It's great.
You have to wonder why they thought that was a good idea. Having a car in a Sonic game, okay, there's racing games and stuff. Fair enough. I can get having a car in Sonic isn't a completely farcical idea. That's completely fine. But if they're actively worse than just doing it on your own 2 feet, then what are we doing here?
They're just laying the foundation for the next great game in the Sonic franchise, Sonic 06.
I mean, you take no hits at least when you're in a vehicle. You can get vehicle
damage,
damage, but you don't lose rings until the vehicle blows up, though. So you get a bit of a buffer there, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough.
But apart from that, they're completely pointless. If you had a tank to drive, that'd be quite cool, but you don't.
Oh, you want a vehicle that's even slower? Come on.
Yeah, it's got a gun attached to it, though. That's the best of both worlds.
Some of the vehicles have weapons attached to it, but there's not very many of them.
Little
They're-
rinky-dink APC with its little turret. No, that's terrible. There's no point. I want like a death machine to fly around.
Okay.
You don't even get his. Do you even get Sonic's like his distinctive bike, Shadow? Is that even a thing in this game?
I think it's
The
in one
classic
of
Shadow
the
bike.
it's in one of the earliest city levels. I think I can't remember which. It's not.
Yes.
It's not Westopolis. I think it's one of the ones after that.
That's like his iconic thing.
yeah.
And you're going to see it like once in the entire
Yes.
game. You got a vehicle. You got to give him his vehicle to use more often.
Question:
That's
why
like-
does the bad guys? Okay, Shadow has a motorcycle and Warrior has a motorcycle. Is it because bad boys have motorcycles?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy Riders. Yeah, everyone loves it. It's always big like hogs as well. It's not like a Suzuki bike. It's always some sort of massive
It's gonna
like
come on a what? Shadow on a Vespa.
like Terminator 2 style. Yeah, they always come up with the big bikes. They have to. This is part of the bad guy trope, isn't it?
E-scooter.
They just look goofy on it. Like Wario doesn't look intimidating on his bike. He just doesn't.
Look intimidating. Full stop.
He's good. If I wouldn't, and if I wouldn't real if I'd check myself in real life, if he came to me in the streets, I'd be like, "What the fuck is this guy
I'd be like, oh, there's a clown on the streets. Yeah, maybe.
with a massive nose and big teeth?" No, that would freak the shit out of me. You kidding me? That would intimidate the hell out of me.
I think it says more about you, but never mind.
Wait, are you talking about Warrior?
Same
yeah?
with the black hedgehog as well. If I saw that in the street, I'd also
Well, weird hedgehog in my street.
I'd kick it.
Oh.
He's the ultimate life form. If he'd be fine, you'll survive.
Not Sonic though. Oh no, he's lovely.
Now you get stomped on.
Since we were talking about the controls, I like to issue a formal complaint to Sonic Team with regards to the camera controls.
I think you're about 17 years late, but go on.
There was camera
So-
controls.
Yeah, on the so on the other stick you can control the camera. For some reason, they inverted the X-axis on the fucking camera. But you try to look, like pull right to look right, and it turns left. I was like, no, that's not how this works. You invert the Y-axis, not the X-axis.
It takes work to mess up a camera control on quite a linear game like this. It's quite miraculous because it's not like Banjo-Kazooie where you got a lot of 3D movement going on, up, down, left, and right. You're going in a straight line for most of Shadow the Hedgehog, and you're still messing the camera up. That speaks volumes.
It's usually when you have to go somewhere other than straight. It's like they don't know how to deal with
It's
it.
those flying segments. The camera's really bad with those ones as well, trying to get your depth perception sorted out.
Awful.
You have to aim for those little balloon things to get like rings and trying to hit those things. Good grief. You can't tell which direction is which because the camera's all over the place. So yeah, the camera is pretty horrendous. But they've always been. Was it always that case in 3D Sonic games where the camera's always
Oh
been
yeah,
bad?
Sonic Adventure 2 has terrible camera.
And yet folks love that game. I don't know why.
Well,
It's in
in spite of it.
Rose tinted glasses. Amy Rose tinted glasses.
Ah.
hey.
Should we talk about the characters then?
Oh god. My favourite is Omega, who sounds like Mayor Quimby in my head. I don't know why.
I don't know, one of my favourite interactions of those extra characters when you're playing with Vector in one of the final stages, just because it looks really out of place in the final cutscenes where he just stood there as if, oh, well, I'm here as well.
The best thing to do is pick a mission and then do the opposite mission, have the character bitch and moan at you for doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
No, Shadow, no, they're
You
on our
have
side.
Doom going, don't kill our troopers. It's like, they're
Traitor!
shooting at me. What do you want from me?
Okay.
If they stop shooting at me, I'll stop hitting them back. It's not rocket science.
So voice acting is shit. We all agree on that as well. Yes. Good.
No, I disagree.
It's
I think, given what they had to
I'm
work
bit-
with, I think the script is shit. There's a difference.
with
I'm with Johan on this one.
Black Dawn's weird Cobra voice acting. It's like, yeah, whatever.
There's
But everything else is more or less fine, I would say.
I don't think you can do Black Doom any better, as far as I'm concerned, with what he had to work with script-wise. I think he did what he had to do, and it couldn't really work any other way.
I feel like a standout is the gun commander, one of the other bad guys who has an extremely stilted performance that I just can't believe that I'm hearing.
Yeah. The standout is Mike Pollock, as always.
Yeah.
No, he is actually good. I like him.
That man is just, I love him to bits. Robotnik just cheers me up when I saw Eggman. Sorry, that's old me coming out there, but everything that he does just cheers me up. I mean, the rest of them aren't that bad, to be honest. Vector's hilarious.
He
For-
sounds
for-
like Fozzie Bear.
For all the wrong reasons. Given that he's like in one of the last stages of the game during the
Yeah.
really tense moments, him appearing out of there, it's like, what the fuck's going on?
Like
Charmy
Shadows.
is quite funny too, to be fair. I like Charmy B. She's
You know-
is it he or she Charmy B?
You know, I said I
Is
turned off.
it B?
I said I might.
B.
Turned off the sound.
Yeah.
It was because I got annoyed both with the music and the voice acting, and I kept dying. So I had to restart, like turn off every sound.
Music isn't that bad, I don't think.
I got so
The
annoyed.
music
It's not
is-
good.
It's,
I'm glad it didn't
It's-
reuse
it's
any of the old
something.
Sonic
It's-
levels, which
it's-
they always do in these games. I'm glad that it's all original.
A lot of this game can just be described as bland. There isn't that. There's a couple of things that are noticeably
Yeah, they
Like,
made
bad.
Plus 40 bland somehow. That's
But-
impressive.
a lot of
they
the.
roped the Power Man 5000, 3000 or whatever.
Oh
So-
god, yeah.
Yeah,
They were
well,
really trying for that new metal crowd, weren't they? They're trying to cheese on
Yeah.
the. I gotta love it. There's also like Linkin Park song buried somewhere in here, is there?
No,
That's
unfortunately.
what-
It's a hidden
it's
track.
not it.
I would love a Linkin Park Shadow track, please. They can do Transformers, they can do Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, I'll give them some. I don't know if credit's the right word, but it's, having Power Man 5000 and just like over the edges, like ending songs for Shadow. At least it's thematically fits. But in terms of the general level tunes, that's just, it's all just bland. There isn't
I still
anything that
can't
stands
quite
out.
tell if it's meant to be like an ironic thing or they actually were aiming for like a darker, grimier tone. I genuinely can't tell if they meant
Wait,
that or if that's
wait,
just like
look-
unintentional hilarity.
Looking at it now, I mean, you would say that, but at the time they probably were taking it serious.
Yeah,
I mean, at
because
the time,
this
when I had it at the
is,
time, I guess I have at the time when I was 15, I thought it was genuine, so I'm guessing,
Yeah.
yeah. Makes sense.
they wrote those damns and hells into the game for a reason, you know.
For you,
Yeah.
That it's the candy from Baby line, which is fine by me. It's just
Oh my god!
just
this-
taking candy from a baby,
I just couldn't believe when I heard
which
that
I'm
line.
totally
It's
okay with.
like, it's like this entire game is doing a character assassination on Shadow the Hedgehog as a character. It's fucking-
Yeah, it's kind of like a riff
awful.
tracks of an actual a Shadow game. They just supposed to dub over, like one of those fucking ridiculous Sonic overdubs.
ouch.
Shadow the Hedgehog at Bridge. Yes.
Yeah. You know, this game's got a co-op mode, guys. Did you guys
No,
play the co-op mode? I'm guessing probably not.
Not with you. You didn't let me.
No. Apparently, the player 2 gets to play another character in the game. You can play as Amy, Sonic. You can play as Maria Robotnik as well. In one of the stages, which seemed kind of interesting. And apparently, they've all got their own unique mechanics and stuff as well. So I'm thinking, have we just played the game wrong all this time and not sure we've been playing it in co-op to get the full maximum Shadow
Oh,
experience, do you think?
Can Maria Robotnik do like light speed dashes?
Would
And
you give her a
over the
gun?
tanks?
That's what I was saying to Erik earlier. Give her a gun. Give her like a samurai sword. That'd be great.
Learning the
Oh, yeah.
blade.
that's the thing we forgot to mention. That when you get an ending, you actually unlock a weapon that you can use in subsequent playthroughs. That
Where
makes
do you
it.
find those weapons when you unlock them? I didn't see them
They're
anywhere.
they're in the crates that has the Shadow Hedgehog emblem on them.
The shadow crates.
Is it like randomized which one you get? Is it?
No, they're the standard positions on the level. It's like
I
a
mean,
black
like,
crate with
which weapon that you unlocked will appear
Oh,
in the Shadow
sorry,
crate?
sorry. Yeah, it's same. It's basically out of the 5 levels you get 1 of 5 weapons, and once you do the other, like the opposite ending on that level, you get like an upgrade to that weapon.
Oh, I love when they put fun weapons behind like 3 or 4 hours of tedious gameplay. It's my favourite thing that games do. Please do more of it, developers. Thank you. Thank you,
Oh.
Sega.
I don't think Kyle
At
liked
least,
that mechanic.
Thank you, Yuji Naka, you fraudster.
We got 'em, boys.
Finally. I'm going to jail, what for? Shadow. Oh, not the embezzlement stuff. Oh, thank God. That's even worse. You should be the fucking Hague for this game as far as I'm concerned.
I'm just saying that at least the vacuum thing I unlocked in the first playthrough, that actually helped a lot in subsequent ones, because when you can just suck up basically most of the enemies besides the big ones, and when you suck up enough of them, you actually get an extra life out of it, which is like,
That sounds oddly sexual, but fair enough.
Please stop saying so. Thank you.
I sucked the life out of him. Is that what you're saying?
Okay, Eric, do you want to
I'm sorry. That's low hanging fruit. I apologise.
You wanna
I don't feel good about that.
wrap up the like the way the actual ending is.
Oh, the
yeah.
true ending,
Since
yes,
that-
please. I am all ears. Make it my
Since I
popcorn.
thought I was the only one that did it, so I wanted to hear your rendition of it.
So yeah, so after you've done all 10 endings, calling them endings is like a disservice because it's mostly the same sort of cutscene with
It's like a fighting game ending, isn't it? It doesn't
Yeah,
really
Yeah.
that's
mean
actually
anything.
that's a good comparison actually.
but with the Shadow somehow incorporating the phrase "This is who I am" into every single one. It is
Crush 40 blasts off in the background.
so yeah, so after doing that, you unlock like a true story mode where you basically get like a level and final boss. And in this level, it started with a cutscene, a series of cutscenes, really, of Shadow having gained the 7 Chaos Emeralds. We don't really know how. We don't really get like which of the paths you did was canonical. We just
But that's
gather
what I
Chaos
mean. I
Emeralds.
don't think.
All non-canonical.
Yeah, it's just an excuse to you have to play through the game 10 times to get to the end.
Yeah.
This game has no canon.
Yeah, this guy should be shot out of can.
Hey, nice.
So basically, Shadow has the Chaos Emeralds, and then so Black Doom shows up and decides, hey, I want those Chaos Emeralds, and all of Shadow's friends is also there, including Sonic, Knuckles, Tails,
Black Doom.
Rouge, Dark
Best
Raymond. It's there.
Can I say that Rogue sounds
Uh,
like a man in this game?
Rouge.
That's
Rouge.
You said
Rogue.
You mean-
Rogue.
Rogue. The Rogue.
Rogue. Rouge 1, my favorite Star Wars movie. Thank
Yes.
Rogue Debate. Yes.
Yes.
you.
So yeah, basically a series of cutscenes that sort of explains the origins of Shadow the Hedgehog. It is revealed that Shadow the Hedgehog is the unholy union of Gerard Robotnik's experiments and Black Doom's blood to become the ultimate life form.
Do you see what Black Doom even is at any point? Is he just like...
He's
Aliens. Aliens.
Alien from the Black Comet.
The Black
It's-
Comet. God,
Oh,
that's
we haven't even mentioned that yet.
It's because it doesn't matter. It's all inconsequential anyway.
Every 50 years, the Black Comet arrives.
Did Black Doom do this?
This is a man with 10 playthroughs under his belt, you can tell. Yeah, I completely blanked on the Comet stuff as well.
But it's mentioned in one of the is it the hero path you have to go down? Is it? Oh yeah, there's a
Yeah,
comet.
Yeah, some of them.
It's
yeah.
like,
By the
what
way,
comet?
Like, what?
They don't explain it unless you actually get to the true ending.
Oh,
yeah,
what's that Comet doing there? Oh.
So Black Doom steals the 7 Chaos Emeralds and he chaos controls and teleports the entire Black Comet onto Earth because it's gonna turn all the humans into mush and
Yeah.
energy.
Good old Chaos Control Ex Machina.
It's gonna slurp up all them humans. Yum yum.
It's not unwarranted nowadays, to be honest. You can have them. We're terrible. Terrible people.
Yeah, and during all this, it is revealed through old video logs what Shadow really is, and Shadow Hedgehog is cleared of all charges of being a wrong'un because everyone realized, oh, he's not the wrong'un, he's just a result of a bad experiment.
He's just edgy. That's fine.
Oh, he's been diagnosed with terminal edge.
Ow.
Oh, I'm sharp. So you have to chase down the Black Doom because all your friends have been paralyzed by a gas and is being turned into alien goo meat.
Gas Ex Machina as well, might I add. They didn't have no kind of previous explanation in the game, but now I have paralyzing gas, which would have been handy to have previously.
Black Doom
but
was keeping all his cards close to his chest until the very end.
This is all.
He's not a Bond villain.
Yeah, this is all explained. I feel like.
Well,
I feel like explained with 10 minutes of cutscenes and 5 minutes of loading times between each cutscene. It's
like Metal Gear Solid. Yeah.
Only less compelling.
Well,
So yeah, basically the final stage is, I think it's basically they took one of the other Black Comet stages and sort of redid them a little bit, and then you had to go through them.
recycling content in this game. Surely you jest. There's no way.
It's also one of the only stages where you have to build up meter in order to use the chaos control thing.
It wants you to feel powerful. So, I'm getting all souped up.
Yeah, because there are dead ends, and you're basically and Shadow basically says, "Oh, I need to use chaos control in order to get through here." So you get fed like enemies you have to take out in order to build meter and teleport out. It's not great.
It's forced and contrived. It sounds like, yeah.
I don't know, after playing through the game 10 times, where I have to either defeat all these enemies or activate so many switches, just having a level where you actually just need to go to the end was quite refreshing, actually. To be
There's
honest.
also a 10-minute time limit as well, so at least it goes fast.
It's over quicker. That's the best thing I can say about it.
Oh, that means this game has to be doable in less than 10 minutes.
Oh god! In 10 minutes, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
So yeah, you reach the end and you face a boss. Craig, what, you want to cover the boss?
It's
The
shite.
final boss?
It's cheap.
Well,
But this game is resale
Black,
value.
Black Doom gets all souped up. It's like, I can't remember the name, but it's like Devil Doom or something. Really
Yeah,
dumb.
It's
something
a
like that.
Black Doom Megazord.
It's like just like a really big mass of evil.
Big Boy Doom.
So then
Yes.
Shadow
Super
gets
Saiyan Doom.
Shadow gets all the Chaos Emeralds. It's like, okay, now I'm Super Shadow. I'm gonna take you down.
Well, if Goku voices Black Doom, let's call him Saiyan Black Doom. It makes sense, doesn't it?
Well, Saiyan. Yeah, sure.
Just saying.
So then you have to do this final boss where playing as Super Shadow. So you have the same disadvantage of having to collect rings all the time. You have a couple of extra moves. I think it's chaos spears, like the small.
Spear. The Chaos Spear, yeah.
But then you have to charge it up to do like a bigger attack. But actually, the only way to actually damage the boss as well.
Then you break out
Yeah.
the Chaos Theory, and Jeff Goldblum appears out of nowhere.
You have to keep boosting towards the boss. And you have to keep destroying these debris and meteors he puts around him, so you can get a clear shot at the actual weak point, which is that floating eye thing that's been in the game the whole time. And when you hit it once, it swaps to the other side of the boss. You have to keep. You can't just rail on it. It forces you to do it slowly.
That doesn't sound tedious in the slightest.
So you have to keep doing that. You also have to keep getting rings, which I don't know for a fact, but over the course of the fight, it seems the game gives you less of them. So there's almost like an artificial time limit as well.
It's it seems like it gets more debris and it hides it.
There's a lot of instances where I was running low. I could not find any. I'm just being clowned here.
Because you basically have to force him to teleport in order to spawn more rings and debris.
It was really frustrating. There's so many times where I got like 3/4 of his health bar down, but then it hit a brick wall of not being able to progress.
So you're saying that the reward for going through 10 kind of tedious playthroughs is yet more tedium?
Yeah.
At least it's
Awesome.
consistent.
Well, consistently shit, yeah.
I mean, compared to Adventure 2, Heroes Adventure, this is probably the worst.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 06 got a lower overall score on Metacritic than this
No,
game.
I
but
mean,
think that
I'm
game
just-
is just unfinished, I think.
I mean, I was just talking about the actual, the final boss.
Yes.
I didn't even call
But,
the other bosses. I mean, they're all bad. There's not a single decent ending boss for a 3D Sonic game.
Not really.
Did you ever play the one for Generations? That was bad.
I never got around to finishing that game.
I vaguely remember. I don't remember it being
You
fun.
fight that weird like clock monster
Yeah.
and like the Doctor Who like time vortex thing, and it's like, oh no, I don't know what I'm doing here. And again, you have rings that are counting down because that appears to be a staple in these supersonic stages because convenience. I get that Sonic 3 did that first, but you can sort of just like retcon that out. I'm fine with that.
I'll just make
don't make it a thing.
I'll just make it less make it more forgiving. I mean, yeah.
Or just give you more rings, basically.
Yeah.
Or don't do the
Or
same
don't-
cliched sky battle in super mode against a big boss battle like you always do in these super boss battles at the end of Sonic games.
Mm.
They always go
Yeah.
for the same formula. These final, true ending things in all the Sonic games, and each time it's bad. Like 3D, like fighting in the air as Sonic is no fun. It never has been.
Well,
No,
what
no,
about
no.
when you're standing on the plane?
Which one?
All of the
Oh,
Sonic.
in Sonic 2.
like it's not, yeah, like in the
Or
2Ds,
in Mania.
were you standing on a when you're standing on the plane? That's fun.
Well, that's 2D Sonic though. I don't count that from this kind of discussion. But any 3D like space fight with Sonic is just no fun.
We don't count the good Sonic games there. Come on.
That's no good.
All three of them.
Yeah, yeah, I'll give you 3. That's fair enough, actually. Yeah, it's not great. None of these games are. That's for sure. None of the 3D games are.
Did you check at all what games came out the same year as this came out?
Things that were a lot better than that, I would imagine. I know that the year afterwards was the next generation of consoles, where Sonic 06 was around the corner.
You said as well, Shadow of the Colossus. It wasn't even the best Shadow game, like with the title Shadow in it. Like
Shadow came out after this game, I think. Of the
2005,
Colossus,
2005.
Oh, same year.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's depressing, isn't it? Good grief.
Imagine some kid asking for, I want the Shadow game for Christmas.
What else came out in 2005? 50 Cent Bulletproof.
Resident Evil 4, Metal Gear Solid 3, Guitar Hero Battlefield 2, Half-Life 2.
Crazy Frog Racer.
Oh, finally.
Probably.
The sequel's better, but that's neither here nor there.
San Andreas.
San Andreas came out the same year. Wow.
God of War.
To be fair, I imagine the budget for that game was a little bit higher than Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, plus they were competent people that were making those games, so...
Well, it's only a little fledgling studio in Sega that, that their money's not flowing out them these days, so they've got to scrimp and save where they can.
They were still herding on the Dreamcast, weren't they?
Pretty much.
I think I've read somewhere that this was the last game made by the US Sonic team.
I wonder why.
A fitting end.
Well, I mean, after the next one, maybe we should have kept them.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's been a bit patchy since then. Also, you had, after 06, there was a bit of a slump. Then we had, was it Unleashed or Colors first? Unleashed.
Colors came a bit after. That was
apparently folks out there like Unleashed, which seems to be a bit of revisionism from when it first came out, but whatever.
I'd rather play that than Shadow, I'll give you that.
Well, I mean, that's a very low-hanging kind of target to go for, to be fair.
Yeah, people play Sonic games, compare them to the Sonic games. They don't look outside that sphere.
I mean, the entire formula changed with the Unleashed, probably as a response to how what the avenue that they were going down with the Shadow in 06. They must have thought, okay, this is like a relatively clean slate, and that's when the boost formula became a thing, didn't it?
What about the Secret Rings?
It's been a thing for a while. We don't count the Wii games there. They're barely games as they are.
It was Secret Rings and the Dark Knight, wasn't it? The Black Knight. The Dark Knight.
Yes, I think it was Dark. I think it was Black Knight. Dark Knight's taken, I'm pretty sure.
And then there was supposed to be a third one, wasn't it? Like
yeah, it was. They had a contract for free.
The storybook thing, or whatever they're calling it, the storybook trilogy.
The Storyverse.
Maybe they counted Sonic 4 Episode 1 as one of them.
Good God.
Oh, good grief! I mean, I'd rather play this game than Sonic 4.
Shall we try and talk about our closing thoughts before this turns into a general Sonic rant?
I don't know. I don't have any thoughts anymore. This was by far the most tedious game we've played so far in this thing, for me personally.
Yep,
it's the one game that I never actually saw all the way through to the real ending.
Well, I just...
like Isolation scared the shit out of me, but I managed to play through it because it was a well-made game put together. I could appreciate that. This game felt like a slog at every single turn.
I played only one playthrough, as you know, and yeah, no.
I think you probably better off just playing the one, to be honest, and just leaving it.
And do you want to hear
too far?
I didn't even finish the last boss because it's glitched.
Oh.
That's more like a you problem, but sure.
How?
I couldn't kill the bastard.
That's not a glitch.
Sure
that's
a problem.
That's a difficulty problem.
So I watched the ending on YouTube instead.
I can't hit the damn enemy.
I mean, in the beginning, he started like locking into it, and then after a while, he didn't do it.
Only you could just fail at game and think, oh, the game's clearly broken.
No, it is broken. There, my review. Broken.
Review broken. Done deal. Don't buy.
Not recommended.
Yeah,
I give this game a thumbs down.
I'd like to message my younger self at 15 and say, save yourself the grief, don't touch it, please.
If this, I don't know, this really was one of the Sonic games of the 21st century.
Of all the Sonic games, this is certainly one of them, you're right, absolutely. I mean, to be fair, I think I still prefer it over Heroes, in the grand scheme of things.
I would rather play Heroes, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I think I'm probably the minority in that one, but I really don't like Heroes.
I mean, we're talking the difference between what I don't know, like a 6 out of 10 game to like a 4 out of 10.
If I was just going through the neutral playthrough of this game from A to B, going for the emeralds, I would play this over Heroes.
That'll only be like an hour and a half of gameplay. That's the problem. That's why
That suits me just fine. Sonic's best when no one plays it.
That's why the movie is so
It's
popular,
best.
because no one plays
Yeah,
those.
you're not actually taking part in it, you're not
best when
engaging.
someone else has to play.
Yeah, it's like passive the hedgehog. I'm completely fine with that one. But yeah, if I were giving it a rating, I would probably say I think the Metacritic, I think 5 out of 10 is probably fair.
Yeah, that's just painfully average.
3.5.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't do anything bad. It's not like it's like poorly put together. You can tell there's some effort put into making it, and there's a lot of ideas there that were interesting, if not really well executed. But I don't think there's ever. It doesn't feel like it's malicious or a cash grab or anything, or trying to just buy time for 06 to come out next year. So yeah, I think 5 is probably a fair score.
Not recommended, unless you want that.
I think, again, going for the neutral playthrough for an hour of fun, I think I could tolerate that, I think.
Okay.
I think you're trying to get any more of it out of it than that. I mean, maybe the co-op's really fun. What do I know?
And so we I think we're all broadly in agreement.
And so episode 7 will be
No.
us doing this game in co-op together.
Yeah.
No, Kyle. No. What are we actually doing? Shall we segue into that now?
We're taking a little bit of a deviation from our usual route. We're going to be doing a movie, or maybe more than one. Maybe fucking 6 of them. So we are doing Home Alone, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, Home Alone 3, Home Alone 4, Home Alone, The Holiday Heist, and Home Sweet Home Alone. That was by memory, by the way, those names. You're welcome.
I have no idea how we're supposed to fit like discussion of 6 goddamn movies in about an hour podcast.
I will spend
You're a
less
maniac.
time on those than I'll spend time on this game that we just played, to be honest.
There's so much to discuss.
Well, in six movies, that's probably, like 12 hours of content? I put more than 12 hours into this game. This game was about a 15-hour adventure for me.
Temporarily a movie podcast next month. I mean,
Yeah, I think it'll
Next
be...
week.
It might play. Yeah, this will be our festive special, so it'll be at some point later on next month, so that's completely fine. So
hopefully before Christmas.
Or this month.
We're recording this on the November 30th, by the way, so that's why. Never mind. Yeah, in December, I should say. Of 2022, I should say, as well.
Okay,
Just in case any ambiguity there.
Probably going to go up January 1st, knowing us.
We'll make it our New Year thing. Yeah, I mean, I think it should be quite interesting because it's a whole different kind of experience trying to critique something that you're not actually playing with your own 2 hands. So, and there's no shadow involved, so it should be a lot more interesting for us.
Well, you don't know that.
You haven't seen the Home Sweet Home Alone yet.
Macaulay the Hedgehog. Where are my damn parents?
I made my damn parents
Okay.
disappear.
But gentlemen, this has definitely been one of the bottom shelf episodes of this year.
Oh yeah, I can't
Certainly
wait.
has.
I will play this game again in 20 years' time and think, oh, remember that bottom shelf episode? I fucking hated it then as well.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
Yeah, so we will be back in December, where we'll hopefully have less of a painful time in going through some movies rather than going through this painful,
Yeah.
miserable, new metal, hedgehoggy piece of shite.
See you then.
Oh yeah.
Bye.
Happy News. Get me out of here. Good God.
Shadow, you must record a podcast.
Whoa, you recording a podcast in here?
Way back too.
Whoa! Fuck me. Let's get this one done with, shall we?